Hello, not your everyday MMA fans. We are back. I am back. Necessarily, I've been gone for a while, but we missed last week. We apologize. We have not missed a pay per view in a while. Tori, though, you did get some news. You did get some news.
I got some news.
Did
Or-
you missed
Oh,
last week?
where I was? Or
Yeah,
oh, about Oklahoma. Oh yeah. I committed to Oklahoma State University. Go Cowboys.
there we
Go
go.
go Pokes. I'm excited. But
There we
really good
go.
wrestling. Cool town. And I actually missed watching the pay-per-view live last week because I was at the NCAA National Wrestling Championship Finals. It was pretty cool.
Which everybody knows is much better than March Madness anyway.
It is. It was interesting. It was
It
a lot
is.
more interesting,
It's
at least
very
for me.
fun.
I
Very
don't love
fun.
basketball. I don't actually really like basketball at all, so I
There
would
you go.
much rather be there. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, that's very awesome. I was doing some MMA stuff. I was filming for some gyms, making some promo videos.
Ooh.
So we're both moving up. But we're back to the podcast. We're back here. We're gonna let you guys know what we've thought about what's been going on recently, and then we'll get into this weekend's fight night. Tori, first I'll throw it over to you. Piotr Jan versus Merab Dvalishvili went all 5 rounds, 2 decision in Merab's favor. What did you think about this fight?
I had said it before. I thought this was the worst fight Piotr could have taken, especially to regain his legacy, or if he wanted to be back up there for title contention. This was the worst fight he could have taken in the division because of how much of a chain wrestler Merab Dvalishvili is. It went exactly how I thought it would go, to be honest. I wasn't shocked. I just feel bad for him because it's crazy how one single moment can change your whole career. That one knee, he was dominating that fight. If he would have won that fight against Aljo, who knows how many title defenses he would have had by now? Who knows who would have been champion? It's just, I feel bad. It's crazy, but Marab very well deserved. It's a weird situation now with him and Aljo.
When I became an MMA fan and started watching UFC specifically, Piotr Jan was the scariest bantamweight.
Yeah,
Everybody was, and they talked about Piotr Jan like he was the bantamweight John Jones of Russia or wherever he's from.
yeah, he was on his way to being like
Like
one of the greatest bantamweights of all time.
that's how they talked about him.
Yeah,
And I mean, he is falling hard, and not even that he's looking that bad, but he's not the same. Like you
Mm-mm.
said,
I
he
think
he
he's defeated.
definitely does not look the same, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. Now, Marab, on the other hand, looked really good, I thought, and
He
I
did.
just fight Aljo. You deserve it. Here's
Yeah.
how I feel. I was actually if you are a fan of the channel, you would know that Chuck the Iceman Liddell is one of my favorite fighters of all time. And if you go back into history, Chuck Liddell won a fight, and then Tito Ortiz had to handle Kevin. Nope, sorry, Randy Couture. No, Kevin. Somebody. Tito Ortiz beat somebody. Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz were best friends. They were
Yeah.
homies. They loved each other. But Chuck Liddell was like, "All right, dude, it's a sport. I gotta fight for the belt." And he fought for the belt. It happens. Sometimes you're
Yeah.
gonna be at a crossroads like that, but like ultimately, dude's wasting time at his peak right now. Like Marab
Yeah.
is at that top, and not to say that he can't withstand that peak for 5, 6 more fights, but why not go for it now, Marab? That's how I
No,
feel.
yeah.
Maybe you disagree, but that's how I feel.
No, I agree. I think he's, to be honest, I think he's kind of preying on his downfall a little bit. I think he's kind of hoping for a loss against Henry Cejudo so he can fight Henry for the belt. I mean, there's no way that in the back of his mind he's not. It's just
No,
I get it. It is a tough situation because when it is your friend and your training partner, because these guys are more than training partners. They are always together. Like they go on trips together. They're always hanging out. And I've become a fan of Murab. He's a funny dude. Like this guy is just reckless. I just love the way he talks and he just does not care. But I don't know. It's a tough situation all in all. But I don't know. I can see Murab being champion because his style is such a tough style to match up with. It really is. And in a division like full of strikers, the only person I can see kind of matching up with that is Umar Nurmagomedov, like kind of presenting a challenge for him.
yeah, no, I think it would be a really good fight. Um, and yeah, ultimately, it's sport. If you train together, you're already fighting each other in the gym. I
Exactly.
mean,
Yeah.
maybe in when it comes to sparring your teammates, you don't want to kill your teammates, and I understand that, but I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, no, and it also stinks. I was even like a Piotr Jan fan. I wouldn't say he was one of my favorites, but I liked him. Like if there's a Piotr Jan match, I usually rooted for Petr Yan, especially versus Aljamain Sterling, because I didn't like him as much back then. But then we shared a special bond at PFL, and now I like him a lot more now. So, yep, a little bit of homerism there. But yeah, UFC 286 happened, and it was wild. I thought it was such a good card. I wish we could have talked about it. I think in my personal predictions, Tori, I don't know if you had your verdict. But I had Marvin Vettori winning. I had Casey O'Neill winning, but she lost. I had Brian Barberena winning. He lost. I had Justin Gaethje winning, and I had Leon Edwards winning. So I went 3 for 2. It's
There
not
you
bad.
go.
Not bad.
No, I did not input my verdict at all. I didn't. I know I was visiting colleges. I'm sorry, guys. I was in Yeehaw Town. I was in Stillwater. But I was torn between the two. But I can't even lie. The back of my head was saying I really wanted Leon to win. I really, really wanted Leon to win. But my brain was saying Kamaru. Like it was saying Kamaru. I not saying I didn't think that it was gonna be a finish or anything, but I thought he was just barely gonna get it done with the skin of his teeth. I thought he was just gonna attempt and hold him down all 5 rounds. But wow, that I couldn't watch the pay-per-view live, but when I saw Leon Edwards' name, I was so happy, like just so beyond happy.
I thought it was a beautiful fight. I really did. I think Leon won very easily. So you see him win rounds 1 and 2. Most people agree with that. And then the cage grab.
That was okay. That was gnarly. That was a full dude.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Come on.
And then Usman wins that round, but he was already winning that round.
Yeah.
So then there was like some controversy. It might as well be, 0-0 going into round 4. And then the last 2 rounds, it was like, well, was Usman's control doing enough, or is Leon striking doing enough? And it was really just a chess match. But ultimately, I think most people agree, if you really watched it, that Leon won that fight, including me. I really wasn't nervous going into the decision, especially when I heard the last one. I think it was 47-50. When I heard a 47-50, I was like, Usman did not win a 47-50. No. And I knew Leon won I didn't have Leon on a 47-50, but I knew that Usman didn't have a 47-50. So when I heard that, I knew Leon won. Dude, Leon's a bad man. And I posted something on my story, Tori, and you don't have to agree with me. I know it's a hot take. That's why I posted it. I wanted to get the people wild up. But I said, after this fight, Leon Edwards is top 3 pound for pound. And you might not agree with that. Currently, I believe
top 3. It's
John Jones,
Volk,
Alex, Islam.
Yeah.
Tough.
If Volk technically, not Volk, if Alex or Volk, if Islam technically beat the number 1 pound for pound in Islam when Kamaru wasn't pound for pound number 1.
Well, now Leon's 4. So
that's good. I agree with that. I'll say I agree with that.
Yeah.
I like 4.
No, but I just think Leon Edwards, and myself included, I think so many people slept on him for so long. And I woke up last fight, when he was able to pull the 5th round. And then after just watching him train and how he composed himself going into that fight, I am so much more a believer in Rocky Edwards than I was, a couple weeks ago. And I genuinely think that he could have a long title run. I could see this man having the title for 1-2 more fights.
Really? I want to talk about kind of what people think is next, which I don't agree with. Dana White was talking about Colby Covington. Colby Covington weighed in as the backup fighter for this fight. No. Colby has fought once in the past. Like, this is when I say I don't like the money fights. I don't like this type of stuff. This is an example. Why should Colby Covington fight for the title when he has fought once? And it's been actually more than a year. It's been like a year and like 2 weeks now. And he beat, no offense, Jorge, but like I was there, washed up Jorge Masvidal and just controlled him for 5 rounds. I don't know. Colby should not be fighting for the title. He shouldn't be fighting for the title right now. It should be Bilal or at least someone else. Even if Gilbert won against Jorge Masvidal, it should be Gilbert Burns. It should not at all be Colby Covington. If they make that fight, like, I'm gonna be like, wow, I'm gonna be over it. And thank God Leon doesn't want that, but I think he deserves to have a say in it because it doesn't make sense. It's not that he's scared, and even if he has a right to be. It's just, I don't know. I don't think they should make that fight at all. No.
Well, one thing is, I do think it would be a fire fight. I think it would be a great, great matchup. I don't agree with it either, especially when you got a guy like Bilal, I mean, dear Lord, if that's any other
Yeah.
fighter, he's getting a title shot by now. There is an argument to be made about Kobe weighing in as the backup fighter when no other fighters could. That goes to show he was there. You know, Dana White said, "Hey, can you weigh in? Hey, can you weigh in? Hey, can you weigh in?" No, no, no. Kobe does it. Kobe makes a 10-pound weight cut in a week. You know, it's that does matter for something. I don't know if it's the fight to make though, Tori. I agree with you in that aspect. And I do have some fights that I would like to see. And like I've been saying for well over a year now. When I used to say this when it was an unpopular opinion. I would say this and people would be like, Alex, you're crazy. Hamzat has to fight Nate Diaz first. But I always wanted to see Hamzat versus Colby. That was a fight I've
Oh,
wanted
same.
to
Yeah.
see for a long time.
I want to see
So
Colby's cardio versus Hamzat's just versus
high
Hamzat.
pace.
Like I just yeah.
Hamzat's in a 5-round fight. If they can
Yeah,
make
his
that a
striking
co-main
too.
event, I mean
Yeah.
that would be a very interesting fight.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, I really enjoyed this pay-per-view, Tori.
Yeah. Can we talk about
Um,
for really quick Justin Gaethje?
dude, what a
How the
stud.
old gen they ain't letting in the new generation. They're like nope, nope. It was a close because when I first heard about it, I thought it was going to be kind of because I saw pictures before I actually watched the fight. I thought it was going to be like a brutal beating. It was a closer fight than I thought. But that takedown at the end of, I believe, was it the third? I was like, yeah,
I was
yeah,
so hyped.
yeah.
Oh
I
my
was so
goodness.
happy. And he's like,
And
"Oh,
I'm
you guys
such a
can shut
Gaethje
up."
fanboy too. I can't even lie. So I was so hyped. I was
Yeah, no,
so
and
hyped.
Raphael too. Props to him. He even did good. He just started to slow down a little bit, but I don't think that should diminish who he is at all. I don't think people should think lesser of him because of this fight, just because of the type of Justin Gaethje will bring you into a brawl, and it's either you're gonna get killed or he's gonna get killed. You know, it's just one or the
It
other.
was so interesting because it almost appeared the entire fight that Rafael Fiziev wanted to avoid the brawl, which is how you beat Justin Gaethje. Dustin
Yeah.
Poirier. If you avoid the brawl,
Mm-hmm.
you can beat him. So Raphael was avoiding the brawl, but he wasn't defending himself well.
No.
And then he's like, okay, well, crap, I'm getting beat up. I looks like I'm gonna have to try to brawl with him.
Yeah.
But when you try to brawl with Justin Gaethje, you lose every time. So
Yeah.
that was the thing. So that made it like a really interesting fight because like you see Raphael his speed. He's like one of the
Very
fastest
fast.
striker.
Yeah.
He's striking fast. He's coming in, but then he's still getting pieced up on some counter
Yeah.
strikes. You know
And
those
he
big.
rocked Justin
He
a
did.
couple times,
He
but
did.
Justin just those winged shots. I'm like, start
Yeah.
throwing some down there. Like if you just tighten that up a little bit, like he could definitely if he tightened up his shots a little bit and used his wrestling, this man could go like further than he has gone already. It's just always the it's just the boom boom.
Mhm.
But I mean it's really entertaining. Justin Gaethje's always so entertaining, and I was really happy to see him get a win. And I was shocked. I mean, I don't know. I was a little nervous that the new generation would kind of step in, but he's like, nope, nope. I still have my place,
Hey,
and he earned it rightfully so.
the highlight said he wants one more shot at the title. He said he wants one more title run, and I would love nothing more than that. Even if it doesn't work out, just to see one more title run, then him hang up the gloves because ultimately we talk about it all the time. Retire from the sport. Don't let the sport retire you. And we'll continue to say that. Justin Gaethje is one of my guys. I don't want to see him turn up like Tony Ferguson or somebody who just can't necessarily walk away and continue to get beat. So that'd be cool. Maybe one more.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's gonna have to have at least one more contender fight, and then maybe a title shot. I'd love to see that.
For sure, yeah.
Boy, let's get into this week's fight night. It's a good one. It's a very good one. I'm so excited. I'm a huge fan of the bantamweight division in MMA
Mhm.
in general. The guys
Yeah.
are strong. They're fast. They can knock each other out, but you gotta be real strong to do it. Cory, I love the bantamweights, and we got two of like the best bantamweights in the world right now fighting each other. So it'll be a really good bantamweight. But there's also just some pretty
Yeah.
solid fights in this
And
main
this
card.
sucks. They're both my favorite in the division. And I
Yeah.
don't want to see them lose. It's gonna be hard. But anyways.
Yeah, I'm very excited to watch this fight. We'll get into the first one with Shetty. You got it, Tori.
Chidi and Ukwani.
Nugent Kwani, what a name. Versus Albert Durev. Shitty, he's one tough dude, bro. He is tough. He's got good striking. He keeps a good pace. He keeps distance well, but doesn't always throw a lot. He does do a good job striking in his fights. But sometimes you almost see a guy hit a combo and it rocks their opponent, and you're like, all right, follow up, follow up, follow up. And then they don't. They just do the combo. It happens a lot in women's MMA specifically. I don't know why. I don't know why it happens. You see it more there. You see that a lot out of him. Albert, something just fell in my bedroom. I don't know
It's
what it
okay.
was. Sounded like a can. Hope there's no liquid in there. But
Okay.
Albert, very good wrestler. He keeps good pressure, takes a lot of shots, and throws a lot of shots. But what I like about him is he's a wrestler who, when he gets you on the ground, he just keeps good pressure. He keeps good control. It's just, will he get you to the ground has kind of been the thing in his career. These guys are not the highest level MMA fighters in UFC. They're still some of the best fighters in the world. They're not high level. So when it's just a regular old MMA match and it's striker versus wrestler, even if the wrestling's inconsistent, because even Shetty's striking is sometimes inconsistent, I'm going to go with the wrestler. I'll take Albert here in this one, Tori.
That was a great prediction. Chidi had, I don't know if you remember the last fight he had, but he had one of the gnarliest he put one of the gnarliest cuts against an opponent I've ever seen. I still have it saved in my camera roll, and to like mess with my friends, sometimes I'll just send it out of nowhere because you can see the vein.
Yeah,
You can see the vein in the forehead, and I'll just do it just for fun. But anyways,
I think you've sent it to me before.
I probably have.
Just for fun.
I definitely have. I just send it to people because that and the Chris Weidman leg break. I just like to send it to people because I just think it's funny because it's just, they're both so insanely disgusting.
Yeah.
But I mean, Chidi, he's, yeah, like you said, very good striker. He's fast, has solid power, is always moving around. He can be a little hard to hit, but not a lot of volume. He does have pretty good takedown defense, which is going to come in handy this fight. And like I said, he had a brutal fight against Rodriguez where he was winning, then he gassed out at the last moment. Then Rodriguez got that win. But he can be taken down if you leave too many openings. And then Drive, who is coming off that loss to Joaquin Buckley, great wrestler, good takedowns, really good heavy top pressure. When he gets on top, he has good solid ground and pound, has hard leg kicks, and he's like kind of the chain wrestler, pressure fighter, always looking for the takedown. You know, that one category of fighters, we can all put them in there. And so for that reason, I always think it's a safer option just because this one was harder. I'm gonna go with Albert Duraev because, like you said, the wrestler, the control, it's hard to go against, especially against these not insanely and high skilled fighters.
And here's the thing with fight nights that are so awesome is these guys are trying to prove to their boss, to the fans, that they are that guy. That no, I am just as good as these other guys you're talking about, Alex and Cory. So when they fight, they're in these fight nights. This is their chance to show that. So oftentimes you'll see them fight a lot harder, and sometimes it's just a matter of who wants it more. So in a fight where it's, you know, a decent striker when he's decent versus a wrestler who's good when he's good, like two inconsistent styles when they fight each other, it ultimately is just going to come down to who wants it more in that fight. And I think that's what makes fight nights fun. Not always, but in this fight specifically, it'll make this a really good fight.
And they're hungry. They want their name out there, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have to play it safe. So it's always fun. It's always those brawls, those deep brawls are really interesting in fight nights. And kind of speaking of that, like these lower level fighters, Alex Perez is not a low level fighter. I'm actually surprised. I'm very surprised that he's on like not higher up on the card, or like not
I only fought for a title not that long ago.
He just fought 2 fights ago against Figgy. And his last fight was a title contender, kind of, if there wasn't like 5,000 fights between Figueiredo and Moreno against Alex Pantoja. But anyways, we have a flyweight bout between Alex Perez and Emmanuel Cape. Perez is 24-7-0. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Like I said before, his last fight he did lose by submission against Pantoja. And then you have Cape, who is 18-6-0, 11. His last fight, he did win by decision against Dvorak. That one always takes me a little bit to pronounce. But anyways, Perez, he's a very good striker. He has crisp combinations, throws good low kicks, throws a lot of damaging leg kicks, a lot. I think he's finished someone with a leg kick before, like something gnarly like that, but they're very powerful. He has decent wrestling, but can shoot for takedowns quite a lot. And in this fight, he definitely needs to wear his opponent down like a lot. And then you have Cape, who is on a 3-fight win streak right now. He's a very explosive and fast guy. He's kind of like a knockout artist. He does tend to chase the knockout sometimes. He is powerful for the flyweight division. He's always bouncing in and out of range. He's a good wrestler. He uses his distance very well, moving in and out, like I said before. Can tend to be very flashy, just trying to show off a little bit. And can give up rounds, can start off slow and then just get the win at the end by finishing, and also is lower in volume. But as I said before, a lot of power for the weight class. I am rooting. I'm definitely rooting for Perez here, because most of his losses are by submission, and I don't see Kate bringing it to the ground and submitting him. So you know what? I'm gonna go Perez, and I just think I'm gonna go Perez by decision because I think he might use his wrestling, even though if it's not the complete best, I think he should use his wrestling and just kind of control Kate from kind of getting gnarly and brawly in that fight, and I think he should bring it to a 3-round easy decision.
Yeah, I don't hate the pick at all. I think it's a good breakdown. The one thing I like that you mentioned with Alex Perez is leg kicks and just overall. If I had to say, you know, okay, being a good heavy striker, that goes to heavyweights. Like if you're a heavyweight and you have a big right hand, that's gonna favor you the most. Well, if it came to leg kicks in a weight class that's gonna favor you the most, it's flyweight. You'll see finishes at flyweight all the time from kicks. So like, sometimes, we might be breaking down a fight here pretty soon, Israel Adesanya. And you're gonna hear me talk about Israel Adesanya's kicks. Well, his fights, why his kicks are lethal, why they mean a lot, are not gonna have as much effect as an Alex Perez kick or any kick that's decent in the flyweight division. Those guys kick, and I think it's because they can put so much speed on it. And they're obviously so light that if you hit somebody right, it just takes the wind out of you.
There's little skinny boys.
Snaps your leg in half. I don't know. Like it is interesting. But no, Alex Perez, like you said, give him his credit because he's good. He's a good guy.
I just can't believe he's on. Sorry, really quick. I just can't believe he's on this card, like kind of lower too.
Maybe name value.
Yeah.
Which is fair because
not a lot of people.
Most people can probably not name 3 fighters in the flyweight division.
True.
Because you don't know him. So
we've seen the same 2 fight for the 3 years. So
High Car France, people know him, and then like after that, it just all falls off. So no, I think that's a good fight. The other thing with Alex Perez that I had down was his counter striking can be good at times as well. With Cape though, I think you hit it on the head. Those with intent. He's very fast, quick on his feet. You said sometimes he's flashy. I said sometimes he's sloppy, which is essentially the same thing. If he could be flashy and it lands, great. But if not, it just looks kind of interesting. Kind of like who's the dude that does backflips on people?
Piera. I think it's Piera.
Like he'll just be super flashy.
I was there. He did an elevator kick where he did a backflip and landed his UFC 262. I think 64 the Conor McGregor one. He landed it.
And sometimes he's flashy and you're like, holy crap. And then sometimes he's trying to do something and he'll just get clipped and you're like,
you're like, dude, it's not doing? WWE. You gotta chill a little bit.
So I'm not saying that's how Cape is necessarily. I just mean that sometimes his diverse striking can actually go more towards his downfall than his favor. I have him winning this one though, Tori. It is unfortunate. I just think that the power of Cape will be enough to be able to beat a guy like Alex Perez. I'm 100% with you though. I'm going to cheer for Alex Perez. I like Alex Perez. I think if he loses this one, he falls off, and it'll be a hard way to build himself back up from where he is right now. So I really want him to win because I don't want to see him fall. But I will go with Cape though. I do think he is just overall probably a little better if he's not too sloppy. On to the next one. Andrea Lee versus Macy Barber. Lee, very diverse striker, can grapple well. She has good leg kicks. Those high, shoots low. It's kind of her thing. She has been hit hard a few times, but she doesn't give up easy. And that's a big deal. When you look at Macy Barber, when I look at Macy Barber, I'm in love. Was what I should say. But if you look at her in terms of her fighting style,
that's me with Tito Vera. So I'll talk about that.
Yeah, 100%. There's some eye lookers here on this event, Tori, for sure. No, she's good though. She's very good. She's got a nice little win streak going on for her right now. Averages takedown a fight. Her striking's good. I've been listening to, I always listen to a few people in preparation for my own podcast, just to see what other opinions are. And there's this opinion, and maybe you have the same opinion, Tori, and totally valid, that Macy Barber she's not really looking good. So is this her fight? Well, how I feel in terms of Macy Barber and how I feel about a majority of just young MMA fighters, male, female in general, is, they get better each fight. And the thing that I noticed with Macy Barber is she has gotten better in each fight. While she may not have looked good in her last fight, even though she won, she looks better than she did in the fight before. And you could say, well, she didn't look good in that fight, but she looks good in the fight, or looks better than she did in the fight before that. So seeing that constant improvement gives me faith. This is a hard pick. It's always hard because these female fights are so hard to pick, especially recently. Holy crap. Yeah. I mean, dear Lord, you can't pick it. I had Casey O'Neill, obviously wrong. Then Alexa Grasso out here.
I had Shevchenko.
You just can't pick a female fight right nowadays, I guess.
Any fight, really.
Maybe since Macy Barber's the underdog, I'll go Macy Barber. And I do think she's good enough to get it done, and this could be one of those fights, like we were talking about earlier, that can kind of put her name on the board more.
Yeah. I agree with you. I have Macy Barber winning as well. I mean, Lee, she's a good striker. She has good technique with her punches and kicks. She has a good chin. Like you said, she's a tough, clean striking, just overall pretty good mixed martial artist. Nothing special, nothing too bad. Just, she's there. She's great. And then Barber, she's on a 3-fight win streak. I believe she's a good striker. She has good boxing, good wrestling. But I mean, how good is her wrestling really? Because have we seen her against the best wrestlers? Not really, but she is tough, and she should look for the takedown in this fight. And if she does get it, she should kind of control her there. But she can get hit sometimes, which I have noticed. But I mean, I'm choosing Macy Barber. I don't see a finish happening here. I'm going by decision.
Yeah, no, good pick.
Perfect. And then, so our next fight is at featherweight, and I am such a fan of Nate Landwehr. I've become such a big fan of him, versus Austin Lingo. So you have Nate Landwehr, who I know I talk about this fight a lot. I probably mentioned it like 5 times, okay? But you have Nate Landwehr, who had an awesome fight against David Onama last year. And I think
such a fire fight.
That was such a good
I'm so happy I watched it live too.
Oh, I know. It was
because that was a fight night, and that was actually Cheeto fought.
Yeah, wait, was it Cheeto Dom? Yeah, it was Cheeto versus Dom.
So I wanted to watch that fight, so then I watched it before. I think it was. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know if it was Santos versus Hill or Cheeto versus Dom. I forget. Anyways,
doesn't matter.
Such a good fight. Literally 2 dead men walking. So I have the first thing is dog, because this man was literally out, like almost knocked out, and somehow just came back and dude is just awesome. I don't know. He's just a cool guy. But he's a very fun fighter to watch. He's a brawler. He's always marching forward, throwing shots. He is most of the time looking for the finish. Most of the time, meaning always looking for the finish. Very exciting, a powerful guy, but can be too wild and leave openings, as we saw in his last fight. He is a pressure fighter. He is pretty good on the ground, and he proved in his last fight that he can overcome adversity. He can shoot back up from the dead and just, come back and fight back, even with his eyes closed. So that was pretty awesome. And then you have Austin Lingo, who is 9-1, who was supposed to fight 2 weeks ago, but his opponent missed weight by a good amount. He's a very well-rounded fighter. He's a solid striker. He's light on the feet. He has really good power, fast striker as well. Good straight shots down the pipe, just overall very technical, and he is very much the more technical guy. But I am going to choose Nate Landwehr because someone made a really good point that Lingo cut weight 2 weeks ago. So how strong is his body? How strong is his mind right now? Because cutting weight 2 times is going to be a lot. Who knows if he went up by a lot or if he did cut weight twice? I don't really know. But I'm choosing Landwehr. I always believe in the brawler, and I'm a fan of him, and I just think he's going to come in swinging, and I don't think Lingo's going to be ready for that. I don't think he's going to know what to do, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, I did look it up. It was the co-main of Cheeto Cruz, which happened in August. So, I mean, you hit it on the head. Landwehr's a dog. He's a dog, and I love calling
Mhm.
people a dog. He's the dog of the card. I should have a dog of the card every time. So
Oh, you
here's the
should,
dog of the
yeah.
card. Nate Landwehr is the dog of the card. Um, yeah, I mean that's it. I'm not even gonna. You did a great job with Nate. I'm not even gonna say anymore. Austin Lingo. I like his clinch striking, which I actually think could help him here. You know, you get a guy that brings constant control. If you can get into the clinch and be the better striker, that's good. Except now you're in the clinch with a guy who can grapple.
Yeah.
So is that going to help you out? Probably not. Nate's tough. He can take the fight to the ground, which I think is huge for him if
Yeah.
things aren't working on the feet. So either way, I think if things are working on the feet, he'll win. And then if things aren't working, he can take it to the ground and try to bring it to the feet again. So I'm going to go Nate Landwehr here as well. And what should be a really exciting fight. And then hopefully like Nate Landwehr's stock goes up. Because yeah, I mean he's been doing pretty good.
I can see him just being one of those just exciting fighters in the division. Maybe not like, title contention, just really cool. Wait, sorry. You know what would be such a good fight though? Is him versus Charles Jourdain. I want to see that fight.
That would be a
UFC,
firefight.
even though Charles Jourdain is fighting soon, they need to make that fight. That would be a gnarly, gnarly,
Well,
gnarly, gnarly,
hey, let's
gnarly,
say they
entertaining
both
fight.
win though.
I would die to. I don't think many people would think about that. So I think that would be an
Yeah,
awesome fight.
that would be a good fight. On to the co-main event. Holly Holmes, yes, she still is in the UFC, taking on Yana Santos. Holly Holmes is old. She's 41. She doesn't look old though. She does
She's
not
still
look
breathing.
old. And I don't mean that just in terms of her physical appearance, even though she doesn't look that old. I mean in terms of her excuse me, in terms of her fighting. Her fighting, she still looks good. She boxing heavy. She will kick if she needs to. She likes to stay on the feet. She's got 70% takedown defense. Her thing's always been kind of staying on the feet. She's not an awful wrestler, but she keeps it on the feet. Yana throws a lot of volume. She has pretty good kicks. She also has wrestling if she needs it, but she doesn't always necessarily use her wrestling. And Yana has been gone for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
Her
Holmes
last was
hasn't
her. Oh, sorry.
No, Holmes just hasn't looked bad recently. And if it's a striker versus striker fight and you're fighting Holly Holmes and you haven't fought in 2 years, give me Holly Holmes all day. I feel like this is a pretty easy pick for me, Tori. I know Holly Holmes is older, but I couldn't give you a good example outside of Ronda Rousey, which if you even want to count this example of a female fighter who like lost her chin and then got older. I don't know that
Mm-hmm.
example. I don't know who that is yet.
Mm-mm.
It just hasn't happened. And Holly Holmes is 41, looking like she could fight until she's 60. So give me Holly
Yeah.
Holmes.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I was just looking up Santos's last opponent because it was Aldana. Okay, yeah, she lost my knockout 2 years ago. Oh wait, I was there. I I was at that fight.
There
Well, I
you
saw that. I don't really remember that, but that's cool. I was there.
go.
Anyways, moving on. That's a fight up there. Yeah, Holly Holm, you don't really need to pick kickboxer. We've known this. Boxer, kickboxer, very talented striker, technical, moves very well, and not obviously not as powerful as she once was, but she has a good tendency to just not really get hit that much. So I
Yeah.
really haven't seen her chin, but she's just solid. She hasn't really declined. She hasn't almost like what she reminds me of like an RDA. Just there, just solid, not declining, not really getting anywhere, not getting any worse. And that's kind of what she reminds me of. And then you have also Yana got married. I didn't know it. I had her last name wrong. It's Yana Santos now. I don't know if you had that. Did you have that?
Nope. No, I didn't.
It's Yana Santos now on ESPN. She got married. So Yana Santos. Anyways, she's a striker, holds a lot of volume, not a lot of power. She's always throwing shots, and she uses her leg kicks very well, but she's not as skilled as Holly. And I think this should be not easier fight, but I think Holly can get it. I think this should be this is a good matchup for Holly. I think she definitely has the ability to get it done. I'll be shocked if she doesn't. And I'm just gonna say by decision. I think honestly she's gonna pick her apart, and I just think she's overall the better fighter between the two.
Yeah, not to bring it up again, but I was just interested because I feel like it's a really good conversation I've never heard. Would you say Chris Cyborg lost her chin, the Cyborg?
It's hard, you know.
I'd say
It comes
no.
with
I'd
age.
say
I don't
overall
know.
no.
I mean,
don't
you get
know.
knocked out. You get knocked out once by Amanda Nunes. Has she got knocked out since? I forget. I need to look up her stats. You want to get knocked out to Amanda Nunes? I mean, you get knocked out to Amanda Nunes. I mean, what are you gonna do? Both of them are coming in swinging. One of them's gonna get knocked out. I don't think so. Not yet.
I don't know. I
Not
don't know.
yet,
Like I
but
said,
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know how long female MMA in the UFC has even been around, but I know it hasn't been more than like 20 years.
They haven't had the new generation. You know what I mean? Like they haven't had multiple champions yet.
Yeah, so I
Really.
mean, it's hard to tell how their chins compare to
Yeah.
guys. I think that's a very interesting conversation to have.
It's not like, sorry, it's just crazy because I was just thinking about that. It's just they're still kind of in the first generation of fighters. Like they're in their GSP era right now. They're in their Anderson Silva era right now with like Shevchenko and with Nunes. And I think that's actually pretty cool, like talking about loud, because we're gonna get to see it like develop.
They're in like their
Nice.
Royce Gracie era right
They
now.
are, dude. Crazy.
They're like all the way
Gnarly.
back.
They're way back.
Yeah. Here's the fight that people came to listen to, and I'm here for it. I'm so glad. If you skipped every fight to listen to this one, I don't blame you, because this is the fight that you want to hear. Marlon Vera taking on Cory Sandhagen. It's two of the most technical striking
so
bantamweights that we've ever watched, ever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you like
1000%, yeah.
somebody is already mad in the comments. What? Marlon Vera is a technical striker? What are you saying?
Shut up.
Shut
Marlon
up.
Vera,
Shut up.
Marlon Vera is him and Usman Nurmagomedov are my two favorite guys. And Marlon Vera lives in my area and he has such cool style and I love him.
There you go.
You know what? I love him so much.
I also
thank
think
you.
he is a technical striker.
Yes.
Who am I trying to think of? Oh, wow. What a good example. Okay. Can't wait to get into my breakdown. I just thought of this. It's not in my notes. Everybody with Piotr Jan. Everybody. And nobody's ever critiqued him for it. Piotr Jan's a slow starter who doesn't throw a lot and might take a couple hits in the first couple rounds. But then all he's doing is reading his opponent and figuring him out so he can come out heavy and then do good. Nobody's ever judged Piotr Jan for that. Well, at least when it was more relevant. That's pretty much what Cheeto does.
Yeah.
So why are we judging Cheeto? So
I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's very interesting. I mean, if your whole game plan is so let me get into my breakdown of Cheeto. Hardest striker currently in bantamweight division. True or false? True. I mean, in my opinion, he's the hardest hitting striker in the bantamweight division. He's good Muay Thai fighter, who reads his opponents well. Once he figures them out, he hits big. So if your thing is being the heaviest hitting, hardest hitting striker in bantamweight, then why not figure out your opponent and time up one of those big shots, especially when you are a technical striker, and especially in a fight where you're about to fight a technical striker. It's wait to find the hole in that game of chess and attack. The thing is, you're fighting Cory Sandhagen. Cory Sandhagen's a beast. He throws very technically, and the thing is, he doesn't get tired, which makes it hard. You know, usually if you're finding holes in somebody's technical game, it's they get tired after they throw a leg kick and they drop their hand here, and then that's where you hit. Well, Cory Sandhagen doesn't get tired, so it's going to be very difficult, and it's going to make this match very good. I don't have a pick, Tori, but I have to give you one anyway. I figured me talking out loud would help me get my pick. I am going to go with Cheeto here. Overall, people may not like the method of, well, if these were, shorter fights, maybe Cheeto would lose. Maybe he would, but they're not. And Cheeto knows that. It's part of the game. Yeah. It's part of the sport. It's part of game planning. It's part of technique. I think Cory Sandhagen is a strong hitter. I also think if Cory Sandhagen could take Cheeto to the ground, it's a whole different aspect in the fight. Cory.
I'm gonna have to second that opinion, though. I mean, I'm gonna have to. Sorry, bounce that off because I did. Well, dude, Cheeto's like foundation when he came into the sport was jujitsu.
That's true.
He is so good,
but he doesn't use it anymore.
He doesn't use it, but I don't know what belt he is. I think is he a black belt? He might be a black belt. I'm gonna look at that up.
No, it's interesting though. It is interesting, and we'll see. I mean, you even look at a guy like Kamaru Usman, who's known for wrestling,
and he's a black belt,
and now he's getting taken down by Leon Edwards.
Yeah,
rooted in wrestling. True. So it's very interesting to see. I will go with Cheeto though. Overall, I think his game plan's been working. Um, it's gonna. I'm just excited to watch the fight. I don't really care about predicting it as much as terms of just. I hope it's a great fight because
Yeah.
I usually don't watch these fight nights all the way through. If anything, it's just the main event. But there's a lot of fights I actually want to watch on this card, and I'm gonna watch them. And then on top of that, I will also like very intently watch this main event. But Tori, I'm interested to see who you have.
I'm so excited. I mean, so Marlon Vera, I just call him Cheeto Vera. It's so much. I just like it. I don't know. Cheeto Vera,
Everybody does.
I love him so much. Anyways, I mean, he has a ton of experience with the UFC. He had, like, I have written down how to jujitsu as his fighting base, but over time he developed as a very powerful striker. He's a Muay Thai striker, very, very powerful. Does not wrestle a lot, but he holds that submission threat. Can be hittable, but doesn't obtain a lot of damage. Like, you know what I mean? I always use like Rob Font fight as an example, but gives a lot of damage. I can't count the amount of times I say this. Quality over quantity with Cheeto Vera that's what my mind goes to with him is quality over quantity. In that Rob Font fight, in the Dominic Cruz fight, people say he was losing those rounds. What damage did you see on him though? Every time Cheeto hit him, people are rocked. People go back, and it doesn't matter if he's not constantly throwing. He's constantly throwing. It's those one for every three that really just get his opponents and like shake them out of the.
I don't even think he was getting killed in the Dominic Cruz fight. He
No.
did lose the first 2 rounds. I'm not going to argue that.
But like,
he wasn't losing him 10-8.
No, but what my like argument is, did he really lose? Because what were those doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what were they doing? Were they affecting him at all?
We
were
got to
they
look at damage, and he wasn't really getting damaged.
No, and that's why I always say in the Rob Font fight, people think Rob Font won because he had a lot more significant strikes. But what effect did they have on Cheeto? Cheeto walked out with a clean face. You know, every shot Cheeto threw against Rob Font had an effect, threw him back. And so that's why I always say quality over quantity with this guy. And that's why this is such a hard fight to choose. But he's always marching forward, can be a little bit heavy on the feet, but he, he's known for those shots down the pipe, those straight kicks, those jabs, just very, very strong. And then you have Sandhagen, who, like I said, is going to be, I think, the quantity one. In this one, he's going to be throwing a lot. And I think they're not saying they're pillow punches, but I also could be very wrong, but I don't think they're going to have, it's going to be a similar thing. I don't think they're going to have as much of an effect on Cheeto. He is a more natural striker. He is a very fluid and dynamic striker as well. Good cardio, has been in multiple main events before, and Cheeto was just in his first 5 round, I believe. Very active striker, has power, fast, good combinations, athletic and tough, good Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I mean, yeah, tricky on the ground, uses space between him and his opponents very well. And I don't know, I thought he won that TJ fight, and then he looked really good against us in the Song fight. But I'm not worried about the cardio because I think both of these guys are going to have great cardio. Because I don't know if you watch, but do you know how much Cheeto runs? This man is always training. He runs like 10, 13 miles per week, like in a day. Like he runs like 3 miles every day, and then like one day like 13 miles. Just does it.
That's crazy.
He's a hard worker. He's always working. He has this thing where he says, if you don't train every day, then what's the point? You're never going to get better if you don't train constantly every day. And
despite age, I think they're both the same age, but Cheeto does have more fight experience than Cory Sandhagen does, which I think is another big thing to look at, when you want to.
Yeah.
And I think Cheeto's won like his last 3 or 4 fights. I mean, when you look at Cory Sandhagen, he's lost a couple. He lost Piotr Jan. He lost to TJ Dillashaw.
But you could argue the opponents too, because I mean, Cheeto won against a Frankie Edgar who, and then he
Cruz, old Frankie Edgar.
Rob Font was the solid win though. That one was a solid win, but
and it actually went to decision, which and you talked about it, but it also goes to show that Cheeto can win without the heavy hit. He can win it by decision if he needs to.
Well, we saw the heavy hitting on Rob's face. Like his eyes were like, like they're barely open. Yeah. And so I think this is like, I'm sorry, I geek out over this fight. I've talked about it so much because I just geek out over it.
Are we gaslighting ourselves into just thinking that Cheeto's going to win?
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's do it. Let's do it.
I don't know, but I geek out over it because this is the most well-matched, like this is the most evenly matched fight you could do. They're both very skilled on the ground.
Yes.
Sandhagen's a brown belt. Cheeto's a black belt. They're both very skilled. Both not a lot of wrestling, not the best wrestling. Maybe Sandhagen has a little bit of an advantage, but like barely. And he's not going to want to take Cheeto to the ground because Cheeto's very skilled on the ground. And just the thing is their striking is so similar, but yet so different. Like I don't know how to explain it. Cheeto heavy moving forward. Sandhagen kind of like tricky moving around, almost like a Dominic Cruz. It's not like that, but just, kind of tricky, very fluid. And so it just what style is going to win? I don't know. Like, I can't tell you. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. The one thing that does worry me about Cheeto is maybe him losing a decision just because of the lack of significant strikes or the
And
lack
that's
of
how he
throwing.
loses. That's how he loses.
Yeah. Is if he doesn't throw enough, because sometimes he doesn't throw enough. When I'm like, oh, come on, a little bit
Right.
more. But you know what? I'm gonna go Cheeto, and I'm not confident. It really could go either way, but I mean, I can almost see it being like the damage, the damage he puts on Sandhagen. So yeah, sorry that was long, but I'm just very excited for this fight.
No, I'm so excited. I don't think I've been this excited for a fight night card since Tai
Yeah,
Tuivasa Cyril gone.
this reminds me of Islam versus Oliveira, just because you like before. Obviously, we didn't know who was gonna win.
Yeah, it's true.
Like we thought it's such an exciting fight, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, 100%. That's going to do it for the fight night breakdown, Tori. Now, we talked about the fights that have been happening recently, and there's a lot of matches to be made. Obviously, UFC came out January 1st, first week of January, and Dana was just like, you know what? I'm going to announce 50 fights. Well, now we're into, it's almost April, and there's really not been that many fights announced since. So there's got to be some fights that are about to be made. So give us your top 5 fights to be made as in the past event or so.
Perfect. So I did mine kind of all based off of the last event. I did 6. I did Vettori versus Strickland. I feel like they're both kind of in the same boat, and I just think they're both the cringe. Like,
I just want to see Strickland versus Costa so bad.
Oh, that would be so good too.
That
would be really good.
Goofy. They're both goofy.
Actually, I like that so much better. But if that doesn't happen, then Vettori versus Strickland, just
It'll
because
be a good fight.
how much Strickland would just roast Vettori, just because Vittori's so cringy. Like, I can't deal. It's so funny, and I would just love to see those two talk back and forth. Anyways, the next one, number 5 is gonna be Fiziev versus the loser of Oliveira versus Dariush. I think either of those fights would be really interesting. 4, I have Colby Covington versus Shavkat. And the reason I have this on here is because Colby technically waited for last event, so he was part of it. I don't want to see Colby Covington fight for the title. I said that. I think this would be, and if Hamzat isn't gonna stay at 170, then I want to see Covington versus Shavkat. I think that's a really interesting fight.
That's
Number
a good fight.
3, we have Gaethje versus Poirier 2. I think that's kind of the obvious answer. They're both in the same boat right now. And it's gonna be a sad fight, but it's gonna kind of be like, who's still in it, who can still compete. And then number 2, I have Hamzat Chimaev versus Kamaru Usman. If Hamzat chooses to stay at 170, I like this fight. I don't think Kamaru would accept it, but I want to see it as a fan to really see how good Hamzat is. And at number 1, not the one I'm most stoked for, but the one that makes the most sense, Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense for Bilal. It makes sense for Leon. It makes sense for their last fight. I want to see it. Yeah. And that's my list.
So for me, I don't know if when I first made this first fight, I really liked it. I don't know if I like it as much. But I think it'd be a good fight. I don't know if it's the fight to make. I do think it would be a great fight though. Mateusz Gamrot taking on Rafael Fiziev. Gamrot just got a good win. Fiziev was a lot higher than Gamrot in the rankings. Now Fiziev lost. So they're kind of right there. They can fight for those middle rankings. Number 4, Shavkat versus Hamzat. Be such a good fight. People have wanted to see it. I think that'd be a great fight to see. I mean, I just want to see Hamzat fight. I don't like the guy.
I want to see him fight
someone such a sissy, and I just want to watch him fight.
I know. I want to see him fight someone of caliber. Not some washed up person. I want to see him fight someone
Spoiler alert: I have Gilbert Burns winning, and when that happens, I think a good fight to make would be Gilbert Burns, Kamaru Usman.
2?
Yes. Yeah, I would like to see the rematch because now Usman's that. Because now Gilbert Burns, arguably, if he beats Jorge Masvidal, could get a title shot. I don't understand why George Masvidal is the gatekeeper for the division when he sucks, but theoretically that's something that people want to see. But why not, Usman beats Gilbert again? Maybe he's right there again. At the same time, Gilbert
knocked him down the first fight in the title.
Yeah, and Gilbert's looked so much better recently too. He's looked so much better. Number 2, Leon Edwards, Bilal Muhammad. Give the dude a shot. Give the dude his roses. He deserves it. Number 1, I've already talked about it. It's a fight I've wanted to see my whole entire life. I pretty much give off my entire right leg to watch this fight. Colby Covington, Hamzat Chimaev. I
Oh my
want to
gosh,
see
me
it.
too. Dude, what I
Just-
would do.
Just
Like,
give me the fight.
Colby, like, we know you're scared to fight Hamzat. Just say it. Literally just say it, because all of a sudden, before the Leon fight, before Leon won, oh, he was injured. He couldn't fight because of the court thing. But now that Leon won, he's all like, oh, I want to fight someone. Boy, you haven't won against anyone. You beat one person in the past like 4 years.
Yeah,
And that
I
is
want to
Jorge
see it.
Masvidal.
I want to see it so bad. And then, like, I think it all comes down to what they want to do with Connor when
Did you
if
put
he
Connor in
beats
a title shot?
Michael Chandler. Like, they want to just figure out what to do with him. So I think that's another big reason that, like, because if Colby can beat Leon and Connor could beat Chandler, and then they move, and then you have Connor versus Colby, which I know it's just all money fights. It's all money fights. But then that's that. I mean, that Colby Covington. I mean, that would be the biggest UFC fight of all time.
No, I know, and I made a video about that in the summer, saying I wouldn't be mad if they ever made. I made a video about Colby versus McGregor, just the trash talk, but it wouldn't. I don't know. I don't think
It'd
it
be
makes
so
sense.
interesting. I mean, I don't know. I just think that's why. It's like
Yeah.
even Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad's fight to make. No name value. Nobody cares about Bilal Muhammad. I don't even care about Bilal
remember
Muhammad
the
that
name.
much.
Hey, remember the name
Literally.
Remember his name Bilal.
I like the guy. I got nothing against him, but I'm like, I mean, I guess I really don't care if he's in a main event. It wouldn't be a main event. It would be a co-main, and
I was saying, could they make the welterweight championship a co-main event? That would be like the first time in history or something.
I'd just be so bored. Because he's not all that crazy to watch every time. Sometimes he does something cool every now and then. But Tori, we're back. We're back on the grind. Hopefully we're back for a little longer than we've been doing. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully, I want to see Cheeto win. So hopefully Cheeto wins. Also, shout out Chris Duncan.
Shout out Chris Duncan for getting that win.
Shout out Chris Duncan. If you don't know who Chris Duncan is, he just won last week, and we interviewed him, and he showed us his butt. So definitely go to the interviews playlist, find Chris Duncan, listen to it. It's a good interview. But Tori, that's going to do it for me, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Any final words?
Cheeto Vera, I love you.
Go Cheeto Vera. We are signing off. Have a good one, guys.
Peace.